Hello everyone, my name is Tamás Scheibner. I'm a literary scholar and a historian, a senior research fellow at the Institute of History at the Research Center for the Humanities, and an associate professor at the Institute of Cultural Studies and Hungarian Literature at ELTE University of Budapest. Now, this university is where my acquaintance with uh, DH actually happened back in the early 2000s. Of course, it was not called DH at the time, but Informatics in the Humanities. This was the title of the name of the program, the study program that a very charismatic professor of literature, Ivan Horvat, established. And I was attending these classes, but ever since then, for a good 10, 15 years, I was living the happy life of a researcher in the analog world, which is rather different to my life today in the past uh, 8, 10 years, when DH is very much present in my daily life. Most recently, I was involved in digital projects related to the 1956 Hungarian Revolution. And most importantly, I'm currently leading a project that builds a database of 1956 refugees. And also, I'm involved in another migration research project. We are building up the database of Polish, Czech, Slovak, and Hungarian emigres and emigre infrastructures in the Benelux countries. Now, the first decisive experience that put me in the DH crowd was the Courage project, which was a Horizon 2020 project funded by the European Union. And within this project, we were building a registry, a database of non-conform culture. And I got the role of registry manager, so I started to learn how this entire database production works, and I couldn't stop ever since then. And during the project, I became the main developer with Lab of the learning model for of the learning models for higher education, while for the secondary schools, a curriculum was developed by Eva Kovacs and her colleagues at the Research Center for the Social Sciences, who also provided the online exhibition. These are all linked to the registry, which was the main feature of the project. And the head of the IT team, the leading developer behind the registry, was András Micsik at the Institute for Computer Science and Control. Now, let me disappear from the screen and talk about the Courage project a bit, which ambitioned the understanding of the cultural heritage of dissent in former socialist countries. You can find the homepage at culturalopposition.eu, and it was developed by a consortium of 15 partners. Over 60 researchers were employed in the project, so quite large project with a broad scope of research, as you could see. And it was trying to uncover and commemorate the alternative cultural scenes that flourished despite dictatorship or strict control during socialist regimes. And the project explored and compared collections on cultural opposition, and the registry that we built is basically a tool for both discovery and reflective research, as you will see. You can reach the registry from the landing homepage of Courage, this culturalopposition.eu, and there are some teaser styles here, and I just added a few screenshots here to give you a sense of the homepage. You could see that there is a search engine inbuilt. You can filter the results by topic, content type, country, geographic scope, language, data funding, and online availability. Now, well, the questions we asked were, what are the genesis and typical trajectories of collections? How did the transition of collections from opposition to mainstream, and if relevant, from private to public occurred? What the political and social roles and uses of the collections were before 89 and um, ever since? What efforts have been made by national governments to preserve, maintain, or add to them? What were the role of exile in supporting, preserving, and disseminating these collections beyond the Iron Curtain and also back home? How those collections were used that were created by the exile community. Then we also asked, how is the material culture represented by the documents, objects, and the audio-visual footage? What was and what was not regarded as worthy of collection and preservation? What objects were deemed important as potential historical sources or relics, and what objects were omitted or discarded? How collections are organized. I mean, the data set or reference systems used. How is the material collected? What is the social background of the working staff, including age and gender? How are their life trajectories? What made them related to the collection, or if there is more than an institutional aspect? How are the legal frameworks, financial backgrounds, ownership and management of institutions as stakeholders? What is the social and cultural composition of their audiences? Also, what are the networking and cooperative capacity of different types of collections? What are the existing and possible platforms and forms of cooperation and public presentation? How can we contribute to the development of strategies with which to strengthen cooperation among the collections? So, creating the Courage database required quite uh, um, a deep research into the history of these collections, and you could see on this page what type of data we were collecting, and also writing up the provenance and the cultural activities of the collections, not only their content. And this kind of work, which included like long entries and required the collaboration of various researchers, required the establishment of a cooperation platforms. And for co-writing documents, co-writing these descriptions, we used Google Documents simply, and shared documents, because that seemed to be a quite good tool in the mid 2010s. And what else is required is a task management software. and we used Redmine to ensure that there is a 7-step data quality assurance workflow. So these texts were reviewed also from a scholarly perspective and by native proofreaders, and there was a discussion between authors and supervisors, and there was this back and forth uh, creation and checking the data that was difficult to follow, especially if you have thousands of entities, because there at the end there were like over 600 collections, but every collection was linked to several featured items, several persons in various roles. So we need to make sure that all this comes together. And Redmine actually proved to be an excellent tool for discussions on registry input. So tasks were created for registry input, also for technical issues, with direct link to the collections in the registry. And then also I will show you in the registry we included these Redmine issues so that the scholars could see what's the problem with the given entity and the given description and the collection right in the registry where they fill out the data. Of course, there were complaints about too many emails sent out by Redmine, so we had to carefully limit the observers and assignees of tasks to reduce this email flow. Now, how to link data? That was a very important question, and the registry was developed on the base of Vivo Vitro. Vivo is an extensible semantic web application for research discovery and showcasing scholarly work. And this is an open source platform that is available for free to anyone and can be downloaded from GitHub. The application development platform actually underlying Vivo is Vitro. It is a general purpose web-based ontology and instance editor with customizable public browsing. This is a Java web application that runs in a servlet container. Now, Courage used only a small part of Vivo features, and it contains many specializations of Vitro for its project domain. For example, we developed a completely different ontology for describing collections and related events or artifacts. These ontologies are accessible not only from the homepage, from the registry itself, but that can be downloaded from Zenodo that we used as the repository. So yes, so I already logged in. So this is the Vivo Vitro version of the Courage platform. It's not public. So this is where our researchers worked in. It's a bit different to the public registry. The public registry looks like this. Okay, so as you could see on the screenshots, this is how the registry looks like for the wider public. There is this status tracker, for example. It says it's published now, so it's in the public registry. Here are the Redmine issue alerting if there is a problem with some parts of the registry. It signaled that there is a new addition new information added here. This one needs supervision. So there were various signs that indicated that there is an issue, and the description is not ready yet. So linking data was an economic for this linked database. Changing the vitro system was an economic solution, but it was not necessarily a user-friendly solution. So it was not developed for the purposes precisely of this database, and some parts of it was quite difficult to handle. So we used video tutorials in general to train researchers, which was very useful. And I would also suggest to precisely filling instructions in this data in such a database if you happen to use this or a similar platform for building up your own database, because you know you cannot imagine what kind of changes they could make, the researcher could make. So not developing your own platform saves a lot of time and effort. So this is using a template is economic, but not necessarily a user-friendly solution, in the sense that researchers who are not really master the system might find it difficult to fill out some parts of the database, especially since this is a linked database, and you need to create the bridge between two separate entities, and this bridge is itself a separate entity, and it's very easy to confuse data. So there were some problems because of this, but we created video tutorials. That is very handy when you create any such DH project, and in general we used it a lot to train researchers, and that enhanced the effectivity of the team. Also, just some further hints, add as precise filling instructions as you could, because you will never know what's in the researcher's mind when they encounter with such a DH platform, especially since they are not used to work in such environments. When you allow locations to be auto-generated, then prohibit researchers to take manual changes to the labels. And it's also important to remember that if the super admin makes changes, you need to track those changes too, so that you could follow your own project. And finally, some words about how to access our data. It is uploaded to Zenodo in RDF turtle format, and this data dump, of course, contains only the publicly available part of the registry. So you could play around with it, and in case you're interested, we might provide API access as well, just reach out. Thank you for your attention.